Think about what happened during COVID, and there were all these signals sent by powerful people that something greater than COVID would soon be upon us, whatever that is. So whether it's a giant war, another world war of that sort, or, something else, COVID 2.0, what we saw during COVID, insane issues with inflation that persist and insane supply chain issues. It's probably a good idea to have a supply of stuff you need to survive in your house. For X number of days, weeks, months, whatever. That's different for every person, but it's definitely not, it's definitely not a bad idea. And I don't think it's a tinfoil hat thing to say I'd like to be able to feed my family if they close all the grocery store. We sort of saw with COVID, how insane it was. I live in Chile in South America. And when COVID started, there was some insane stuff there where you had to show papers to get into grocery stores and stuff for a time. That could come back. It's not as crazy now as it might have been 4 or 5 years ago to talk about that stuff. And there's nothing wrong with being prepared. There's probably something more wrong with being not prepared at all. But, a lot of times government incompetence is the excuse. So, just talking about financial policy and stuff, I think it's easier to pick apart in those cases because you can see the obvious who benefits and who doesn't sometimes more easily. And they'll sort of be when the Fed printed a bunch of money during COVID and gave it to BlackRock to manage, was that incompetence? Especially when BlackRock wrote a plan at the end of 2019 of the monetary policy that the Fed followed exactly when COVID happened about what the Fed would need to do during an unforeseen crisis. It's just was that incompetence or is that corruption? A lot of times they try and absolve themselves of when they sort of get caught or start to get caught for something corrupt, they'll be oh, don't look any further. We're just really stupid, But if you consider just the massive amount of wealth transfer that's happened in the past 20 years to the people at the very top, well, I think it's obvious. But that can't all have been because of incompetence. And more has come out with COVID too, the safe and effective stuff about the vaccines. A lot of people in alternative media knew it was experimental and that there wasn't enough testing and stuff, and they were censored, and then the stuff was forced on people through mandates and things like that. Was that incompetence? They knew then what a lot of people in alternative media knew then, they being, the people in charge, and they still put it through anyway, and now they're acting like it didn't happen. Yeah, because they're trying to put AI in charge of the internet, and not just in charge of censoring what's on the internet, but also having AI make the lion's share of online content. So supposedly by 2025, generative AI like ChatGPT is going to produce 96 or something % of everything you read online, which means mainstream media journalists are going to be completely replaced by it. I think there have been some magazines that have been caught using ChatGPT to write their stories already. I think Sports Illustrated was one. Only going to get crazier. And so when you have AI both producing and then curating, i.e. censoring everything, then AI dominates the information environment, and whoever programs AI and stipulates what information is okay and who isn't has unprecedented control. And when you consider that most people today get their information from online or, digital sources, that's unprecedented control of what people, not just how the information that people read and receive, but also, you're manipulating people, how people perceive reality. And that obviously translates into how people behave. And actually, Henry Kissinger and the guy that he named as his heir, which is Eric Schmidt, the former Google CEO, wrote a book on AI explicitly about that. And how AI is basically going to control how we perceive reality by taking control of online content in its entirety. And that us becoming increasingly dependent on AI for everything is going to cognitively diminish people so that we won't be able to perceive reality or make sense of anything without AI doing it for us.
It's going to be have you seen the film WALL-E?
Yeah, maybe years and years and years ago.
In the pods, drinking milkshakes.
Yeah, but worse than that, because it seems like there's sort of, they have some sort of cognitive faculty left. What Kissinger and Schmidt say is that people are going to lose that. And it's the plan that they lose that.
Maybe they just won't need us anymore.
Well, I think, if people can't control how they perceive reality, they're no longer capable of critical analysis and thought. It's very easy to decide what you do with people.
So where does that put you then in terms of AI? Are you pro the technology?
I have a lot of opinions. I mean, I think the whole idea of getting a lot of people to like use ChatGPT and all of this stuff is to lead us down this path that Kissinger and Schmidt, among others, sort of are charting out for humanity. It's pretty much common sense, though. Like if you develop a skill and then don't do it for 10 or 15 years, for example, you kind of forget how to do it, right? Or even, I graduated from university like a little more than 10 years ago. How well do I recall the stuff that I took in university? Not great, right? So there's this whole idea of if you don't use it, you lose it. So if people are depending on AI to tell them where to turn when they're driving their car and, no one uses like actual maps anymore. I mean, I understand that it's convenient, right? And I'm not saying like, oh, we need to go back to the 90s, but it becomes after a while a slippery slope where people are just having the computer tell them everything to do, every step of their lives ends up becoming micromanaged to an extent. And the idea is that AI, through all the data that it absorbs about us, knows so much about us. Some of these people say it knows us better than we even know ourselves. That allows for an unprecedented degree of manipulation. And the problem is that the people producing and programming AI and ultimately controlling AI and what it can do not have our best interests at heart. And it is not a good idea to basically hand them our brains in a bag.